The world has just lost one of its greatest moral leaders. His Holiness, Pope Francis, passed away today at the age of 88. His death has sent shockwaves around the globe, not just within the Catholic Church, but across every continent, every faith, and every heart that he touched. From the slums of Argentina to the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, his journey was unlike any other. He was a voice of hope in an era of division, a man who chose simplicity over luxury, compassion over condemnation. Today, we reflect not only on how he died, but more importantly, on how he lived. This is the story of Pope Francis and the world he changed forever. Jorge Mario Bergoglio was born on December 17, 1936, in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The son of Italian immigrants, young Jorge grew up in a working-class neighborhood and was deeply shaped by the poverty and hardship he saw around him. He trained as a chemist, but felt a deeper calling. At 21, he joined the Jesuits, a religious order known for intellectual rigor and a commitment to social justice. His early ministry was marked by humility. He cooked his own meals, took the bus, visited the sick, and always chose to walk alongside the poor. When he was appointed Archbishop of Buenos Aires in 1998, he refused the lavish palace residence. Instead, he lived in a small apartment, did his own laundry, and chose to be called simply Father Jorge. It was this authenticity, this deep connection with everyday people, that made him stand out. And in 2013, after the historic resignation of Pope Benedict XVI, Jorge Bergoglio became Pope Francis, the first pope from the Americas, the first Jesuit pope, and the first non-European pope in over 1,200 years. Over the past few years, Pope Francis faced ongoing health issues, including colon surgery, sciatica, and chronic respiratory problems. But he remained active, often pushing himself beyond doctors' advice. Even as recently as last month, he delivered public blessings, met with diplomats, and shared messages of peace. But behind the scenes, his strength was fading. This morning, the Vatican released a brief but emotional statement. The Holy Father passed away peacefully at the Apostolic Palace in the early hours. He was surrounded by his closest aides, in prayer and reflection. The cause of death is believed to be complications from a respiratory infection, one he had battled before. The bells of St. Peter's Basilica tolled as the news broke, and within hours, millions began mourning across the world. Pope Francis will be remembered not for grand ceremonies, but for the quiet revolutions he sparked. He shifted the tone of the Catholic Church toward mercy, inclusion, and service. He washed the feet of Muslim migrants. He opened dialogue with atheists. He visited war zones and refugee camps. And he spoke openly about climate change, saying, "The earth, our home, is beginning to look more and more like an immense pile of filth." He challenged leaders to address poverty, inequality, and the refugee crisis. He apologized for the Church's role in past abuses and called on all people, regardless of faith, to walk the path of compassion. Pope Francis wasn't perfect, but he never claimed to be. In fact, he often said, "I am a sinner, whom the Lord has looked upon." That humility, that humanity, is what made people love him. The reaction was immediate and global. Crowds began gathering in silence outside the Vatican. In Argentina, people lit candles and sang hymns in his native Spanish. Churches around the world held special masses in his honor. On social media, the hashtag #ThankYouFrancis trended worldwide. President Emmanuel Macron of France tweeted, "The world has lost a moral compass. France mourns with the Catholic Church. Across denominations, leaders united in tribute." The Archbishop of Canterbury said, "His gentleness masked immense strength. His faith moved mountains." Even celebrities joined in. Oprah Winfrey shared her respect, saying, "He reminded us all to walk with kindness." And perhaps most poignantly, a child outside St. Peter's was heard asking his mother, "Is Pope Francis with God now?" The Vatican has announced a 9-day mourning period, known as the Novem Dies. Pope Francis's body will lie in state in St. Peter's Basilica, where tens of thousands are expected to pay their final respects. His funeral mass will be broadcast globally, and dignitaries from every nation will attend. A conclave will be held in the coming weeks to choose his successor, though his legacy will cast a long shadow. Many have already begun calling for his canonization, for him to one day be named a saint. His humility, his courage, and his unwavering love for humanity may well be his first miracles. Pope Francis may be gone, but his message is eternal. He taught us to serve with joy, to lead with love, and to see the divine in every person. As we remember him, let's also ask ourselves, how can we live more like him? How can we speak for the voiceless, feed the hungry, forgive the broken? Because Pope Francis didn't just preach the gospel, he lived it. Now, we want to hear from you. What did Pope Francis mean to you? What is your favorite memory, quote, or moment from his life? Share your thoughts in the comments below.